Hi, I'm Dan Weedin. Welcome to the October 6th, 2014 edition of Weedin Unleashed. It's an event that we have it's a broadcast, I should say, that we have every Monday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And the topic is always on something that I believe is important for you and your business, to boost your business, to enhance your career, and hopefully, ultimately, to enrich your life. Now, before I get started on today's call and today's topic, I do need to let you know that next week will be no Weedin Unleashed. I'm sorry, it's Columbus Day, and one of the events that I have annually gone to is a Columbus Day luncheon put on by our local community college here, Olympic College, and they do a great job for scholarships. It's their largest fundraiser, and they put on a luncheon because it's a holiday, there's no school, and it's just a terrific event, and I always look forward to it. And so unfortunately that's a luncheon. This time won't be there, so there will be no Weedin Unleashed next week. You know, as I sit here, it won't, at least won't be at 12. Let me see if I can maybe set a different time, because I don't want to miss. Maybe to keep your eyes peeled for a different time, because we may just do that. So at least it's not going to be on the same time next week, but normally we are going live at noon Pacific time. And again, talking about the topic from my morning extra points. If you don't get my extra points newsletter, I invite you to get it. It's free. It comes in your inbox every Monday morning. Dan@danweedin.com. You can request, or you can go to danweedin.com and sign up. So let's get right into it. Today's topic is about something that I have, in all candor, I have struggled with at times in my life, and it's something that I continue to be challenged by. At least this time I know a little bit more about what I'm doing, thanks in large part to my own professional mentor, Alan Weiss, who has talked about this issue. And so it's something that I'm working on, and I believe that if I share with all of you, you will find value in it. It'll help me as well. So even though I'd like to be completely altruistic, this helps me, and I think it'll help you as well. Today's topic is part one of a two-parter. That's why I think we'll get back and keep going next week, just at a different time. And it's about ferociously guarding your time. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about ferociously guarding your time at my Unleashed Summit. And the people in the audience really liked that term. And so I thought this would be something that would be beneficial to everybody to talk about. And again, I have to credit Alan Weiss for giving me those words. Those were words that really impacted me, because I, in the past, have not always ferociously guarded my time. I'll tell you, I'll open up and tell you why that's been the case. I've always been a joiner. I've considered myself a leader, and there have been many events, projects, great charitable works, nonprofits, boards, all sorts of things that have either come calling or I've gone seeking for whatever reason. And I've been challenged at times to say no. And a lot of times it's because I like the board that it's going to be on, or I like the project, or I like the event, and I want to be part of it. And I think that I have some skill sets that can help aid that particular project or event or that board or whatever the case might be. And so I dive in. Well, what happens is we all get 24 hours of time, right? and you only have so much, and a good part of it needs to be sleeping and spending time with your family. And obviously a large part of it is your career. So what happened with me is I got into a situation where I basically overbooked too much. Have you ever gone to the doctor's office and they've overbooked, thinking that people won't show up, and then when everybody shows up, there's 10 people there who all had a 2 o'clock appointment, just like you did? Or just recently happened on an airline trip I took. They overbooked there, and you start thinking, well, hold on, they only have so many seats, and how many seats they have? How do they have too many people? Well, they think people are going to cancel, and they overbook. Well, I've overbooked. You probably have too. But I'll just use me. I've overbooked. And all of a sudden I get into a project or into a commitment that is maybe not even short. It might be protracted out over time. And I start looking at what is the most important things I can be doing in my professional life to advance my career, and in my personal life to enhance my relationships with my wife and my daughters and my friends. Are these things moving towards that? Do I really have a passion for them, or is it just something I thought would be fun and like to do? I'm going to challenge each one of you to take a look at what you are currently involved in, number one. Actually, we'll do this, number one. What you've done in the past, whether you're still doing it now or not, whether it's a board you've been on, whether it's a nonprofit work you've been doing, a project, an event, you know what I'm talking about. What you've done in the past and what you're currently doing right now. As I put in extra points, this isn't about necessarily time management. We all have time management issues with how long we're on social media, or how we're dealing with email, or how we're planning and scheduling our calendars. This is more of a big picture thing as to commitments to our valuable time that we make, and is it really advancing the cause that we're trying to do. So take a look at what you've done in the past. And I can look at several boards I've been on. They've been both nonprofit and charitable to, I was once on a credit union board. So I go back and I look at a number of boards, whether it be Rotary, whether it be the school board, whether it be the Chamber of Commerce. I was once on that board. I've been president of some of those organizations. I've been on executive teams for the Sons of the American Revolution. I'm currently their chapter newsletter person. And in fact, I'll use that as an example. I love the Sons of the American Revolution. It's a great organization. But I had so much going on, I couldn't be involved anymore. And I had to, in the executive team, I said I'd keep the newsletter because that was something that I could manage timeliness, but I couldn't be on the executive board anymore as elections came up. And so I took my name out of consideration. I know that means they're gonna have to go find somebody, but I had done it for several years, I think 4 years, and that was enough. And so what have you done in the past, and what are you currently doing? And take a hard look at them. Here's some of the questions I would ask you to self-assess. Number one, are you having fun? Is it something that you have a passion about, and are you having fun? Look, discretionary time is I think, the most important thing for all of us. I think it's a measure of true wealth. Is your discretionary time going to something that you're gaining fun with? Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be fun, each activity. There could be some real challenges. If you're on a board, there can be some challenging work in what you're doing. But in the end, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it, especially on something that you're volunteering for? Number two, is it enhancing, advancing, or improving your professional life or your personal life? Now, charity works, sometimes you'll say, well, it doesn't have anything to do, this pro bono work doesn't have anything to do with my career life, but it might on your personal life. Are you going out and spending evenings someplace where you could be spending it relaxing with your family? Hey, look, we all work hard. We all spend a lot of time. My normal day tends to run from a business standpoint from about 7 or 7:30 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. In the evening, do I take time to recharge my own batteries with my family, with my friends, watching TV, reading a good book, or even just taking a walk with the dogs? Am I recharging my batteries, or am I pushing myself doing other things that, although at the outset I thought would be good, maybe it's time for somebody else to take that mantle? So some thoughts for you to think about. Oh boy, you know what? I think I forgot to put the questions up, and I bet you, oh good, they came up. Questions are up. I know I've got some viewers out there watching. Sorry about that. You probably were wondering what happened to the questions. Well, they're up. So this is your opportunity to put up questions, to put up comments, to maybe share with me. Here's one of the things I'd like to know if you're out there watching this live. Many of you may be watching this later. But if you're watching this live, something I'd like to know, and you don't have to be specific as to what it is, but are there some events and some projects and some boards that you've been part of that all of a sudden you don't seem to have the same spirit for? You've done your time. Maybe you spent 4, 5, 6, 7 years doing it. And maybe there's somebody else out there who can do a better job for that organization, a better job for everybody. Is there something out there that you're doing that you might need to take a hard look at? What have you done in the past? Share maybe some of the thoughts, the things you had in the past. And ask me your questions now. I'm happy to answer them. This is an ideal time, October 6th. We're going into the last quarter, the fourth quarter of 2014. Everybody wants to talk, not everybody, but a lot of people want to talk about New Year's resolutions here in just a few short months. Maybe resolutions shouldn't be adding stress and time to us. Maybe our resolutions means we need to throw some baggage off of the train. I often talk to clients who I coach or whom I mentor, and we have conversations about dropping baggage. Sometimes it might be clients. If there is a client that you have that that puts too much time, effort, and strain on you, just because they might be paying money to you doesn't mean that makes them a good client and good for you. Do you have other scenarios, things that you can drop in your personal and professional life, even if you like them? That's an important thing to consider, because as we go into 2015, you might want to be looking at what you can drop rather than what you can add. Dave, thanks for chiming in, said, I took a break from nonprofit work for a few years as I got burned out. I hadn't used that term yet, and it's very true, burnout. Nonprofit work is great, but it takes a lot of energy, it takes passion, and it takes commitment. And if you put that time into it initially, if you put that time into it initially, let's say you do 2 or 3 years, maybe at some point things start to wane and you realize that new blood, or maybe you don't realize that new blood might be better and it's time to step away. So Dave said he made a conscious decision a few years ago to take a break. Didn't say give it up forever, but to take a break from the nonprofit work he was doing. Thanks for sharing that, Dave. I'm reaching a milestone birthday on the last day of 2014. I'll be turning 50 years old. And even though inside my head, I don't feel that way. I used to think of 50-year-olds as old, and that one when I was probably 22. Now I look at 22 and think, oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. So as I get close to that milestone birthday, I'm trying to take a little bit of stock in where am I spending my time? Where am I spending my discretionary time? Are the things I'm doing distracting or a burden to my personal and professional life, or are they enhancing them? I have another. Dave says, here's something you have to ask. Am I able to add value here, or am I pushing a rope? What a great metaphor. Thanks, Dave. Am I able to add value here, or am I pushing a rope? Have you ever been active in a nonprofit or some charity work or a board or an event, and you had a lot of passion for it? It happened to be at that time something of great value to you, and somebody else kind of seemed to be just pulling the rope. They had been there for years and years and years and kind of felt like they needed to be there, yet they weren't adding value anymore. Are you that person right now in any of the things that you're doing? It's a great question to ask. Dave said, good God, you're old. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way. But remember, 50 is a new 40. I think we're moving everything back a decade. So Dave, you can take 10 years off of where you are, and that's all good. But I think it's a good time to do that. I think it's a great time to take a look at ferociously guarding your time. And I'm going to come back full circle with that and use that term that Alan had suggested and shared with me. Because it's one thing to guard your time and to think about, oh, do I have time to do this? It's another thing to add ferociously to it. It's an adverb that really works, because if you consider your time to be right here, I hope you can see that. If you consider your time to be right here, you've got all these external things trying to enter the castle. And inside the castle is your spouse or significant other, your children if you have any, your friends, your close friends, the people that you do things with, and other important affiliations that you may have, and your career. They're all inside the castle. There's a lot of things coming that all well-intentioned, some maybe not so well-intentioned, but all potentially good, some that might be interesting and some that are definitely not. Ferociously guard your time, because you may have to say no to good causes. You may have to say no to those things that you think, you know, this is a great cause and I like it and it certainly makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for me right now. We do that with our money, or at least we should be doing that with our money, the money that we invest into whatever we buy or we donate into. How about our time? Heck, I would be willing to tell each and every one of you that you might be doing more good for a nonprofit or a charity by pulling out your checkbook and sending them that resource rather than your time. Because with your time, you may be able to go and actually make more, increase your income so that you can actually help that cause that you like more. Because I guarantee you, a lot of those places, they accept checks and credit cards, and it's valuable to them. So if you're going to invest your time, make sure that you're doing it in something that is rewarding to you personally, that you have a passion for, that you like, and that has a great cause behind it. So we've been about this about 15 minutes. This team seems to be about the good time that we've got for this Monday morning blast. Dave, let me see here. 60's a new 40. I don't know if that's Dave's age, but he's telling me that 60's a new 40. I guess that pushes me back to 30. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and Dave put out there, our mentor, Dave's mentor is the same as mine. He changed my word ferociously, and I think that this might even be a better word. He says our mentor ruthlessly guards his time. Ferociously, ruthlessly, it's all valuable, because as Alan has said, you can always make another dollar, but you can't always make another minute. You can always make another dollar, but you can't make another minute. The same is true for some of those events and some of those projects and some of those boards and some of those committees that you have dedicated your time to. Is it right for you right now? As you go into 2014, or I'm sorry, into 2015, is it right for you? Next week, we're going to talk about, and I'm going to find a different time. I promise you, I'll let everybody know. Next week, we're going to take this to part 2. I've got a case study that I'm going to want to share with you. So tell all your friends that to come join us next week to get on extra points. I'm going to have a case study that I'm going to use in this, and we're going to actually walk through a process of getting you ready for 2015. Ready to drop some baggage and ready to free up some of that discretionary time so you can recharge, refresh, and have fun. I think I got all of the questions and things down. I did. Dave, thanks for sharing those. Thanks for being on the call. And for all of you who are watching this on YouTube later, many thanks to you. Final thoughts, you can go find me on Google Plus under Dan Weedin. I'll add you to the circles that get this. I'd be happy to have you on there. I am on LinkedIn under Dan Weedin. I am on Twitter at Dan Weedin. I'm even on Facebook, Pinterest, all of that. Get my extra points. Comes to you every Monday morning. I get some terrific feedback from that. You can contact me at dan@danweedin.com. So for this week, we're going to sign off. Again, Dave, thanks for the questions. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all of you for watching this whenever you are. Next week, I'm going to have a new time. I'm going to have to think about it, but I'll get the word out to all of you. And go ferociously guard your time this week. You don't have to wait for 2015. You can go start today. With that, I wish you a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.